A playable Diplocaulus is now available within Path of Titans. This is the Wrath of the Goliaths Diplocaulus. Now, you may be wondering, but Velocci, there is already a Diplocaulus in the game. It's the KTO one, and you are right. This is the Diplocaulus that is already in the game and playable by KTO. This, however, has just released and is a brand new Diplocaulus by the Wrath of the Goliaths team as a side project. It looks like this one's going to be more akin to an aquatic gameplay style than it is going to be more land and aquatic. But let's find out and have a look anyways. These are the species, of course, that you can see. So you've got the first one, which is Salamandroides, which is this one. Then you have Breviostris, which is this one as well. Then you have Magnicornis, which is a very fat one. And then you got Duncani, another very fat one. It doesn't have like the triangle face, and also its feet look weird at the front. I don't know, it looks quite funny. After that, you've got Kulasuki, which is based off Kulasuchus. And then you got Nald, which I think is like more damaged snout or something like that. I'm not too sure what actually is the difference there. Then you got Salamandroids D. And then you have Magnicornis D. And then you go back to Salamandroids. Now, I don't know what the difference between D and like normal is. I think it's maybe to do with the head shape. One of them will have like a bigger head or something like that. Guys, this is the baby Diplocaulus, and this thing is absolutely... look at its stupid face! Oh my god, it's like a big fat tadpole. It just looks wrong. It looks so wrong, but it looks so funny and cute. And movement-wise in the water, it's actually pretty good as a baby. It's similar to the movement when it's an adult, but I just can't get over how stupid it looks as a baby. Like, in a good way, it's so funny. But regardless, this comes with a standard bite attack, which is more like a headbutt. Yeah, you look at it, it's more like a headbutt. What's going to happen is I'm going to go onto land, and we're going to showcase the calls and animations as well for the baby as well. But this thing is so dumb. So on the land, this thing is the baby is just so dumb. It's just so silly, and I don't know whether to do the showcase on land or in the water, because obviously this is like a semi-aquatic, but more so aquatic than the other one, which is like a mix of both. But look at the way this thing's moving around. It's so dumb. It's so dumb, and I think it's so funny, and it's tiny as well. I'm going to bring in a baby Deinonychus just to show this off properly to you. Now, one thing I do want to point out, of course, is this thing in the water is so quick, and then on the land it is so sluggish, and it can leap out the water as well. And now I'm currently like bugged, but yeah, it's really slow on land, and this is what it looks like next to a Deinonychus in terms of height. It just looks so dumb. I just can't get over how goofy this guy looks. It kind of has that tadpolean axolotl kind of feel, because the baby skin, you can see the little axolotl things coming off it. But anyways, in terms of damage, this is what it does. Now, for one thing I will say, I've tried this out on land, and I've tried it out in the water. The calls and the emotes for the baby don't currently have any sound, but this thing does bleed, and the damage is very minute. Let's go ahead and check it out as a adult, though. As with a lot of Wrath of the Goliaths mods, this thing has a lot of abilities. It's got two passives, which are Poisonous Entourage, which increases the amount of poison damage by 10% for each Diplocaulus in the group, stacks up to 10 times, and then Deadly Mucus, which is immune to venom, and attackers take poison damage. I think they've spelled immune wrong there. But as for everything else, you go to your head, you get 3 attacks, you get a Toxic Bite, which causes medium damage and inflicts light toxicity, Headbutt, which is a quick headbutt attack that causes low damage, and then Hatchet Swing, which flails your head, covering the front with high knockback. You then move forward, you go to your sensors. You've got Guiding Swamp Guard, which increases all semi-aquatic acceleration by 50% and stamina recovery by 10%. It can only be used when in a group. Amphibious Ally decreases all group members' swim stamina drain by 10% and increases their oxygen by 50% when in a group. Then you have Hydra Foil, which increases swim speed by 15% and decreases swimming stamina usage by 15%. Then you got Emotional Support, which resting or sleeping will increase all group members' healing by 100% within a 10-meter radius, which is great. Doesn't have an effect in combat. For your metabolism, you've got Head Reserves, which decreases food and water drain by 50%, increased cooldown on bite attacks. And then you got Fisher, Standard, and Desolate Survivor, which allows you to eat meat and insects. So this is more built for being on land. For your hide, you get 2 hides here. You get Aquatic Radiance, which is a shimmering aura that gives you a 10% attack damage, stamina recovery, and reduces 10% attack stamina cost while swimming. Then you've got Slime Aromatics, which cures odorous mucus, gives you 10% movement speed buff, and reduces 10% first rate and sprint stamina cost when dry. That was so wrong, but that's the gist of it. You go to your legs, you get 3 passives here. Beachcomber, which improves your land movement speed and time allowed on land. So it looks like this thing is limited and mainly a water creature. So we'll have to have a look at that in a moment because I'm currently on the land. Then you've got Web Feet, which increases swim speed by 10% and decreases swim stamina drain by 20%. Werehops, which increases your jump force by 3.5 times and increases jump stamina cost by 15%, but only at night. Then you go to your back limb. You've got Slick Escapist, which reduces the first hit taken outside of combat by 50%. To your tail, get 4 abilities, 1 passive and 2 or 3 attack abilities. So Paddle is your passive, increases swim speed by 15%, swim turning radius by 30% and oxygen by 50%. Then you get a normal knockback attack that causes light damage. Spin attack, which is while swimming, you do a spin attack to quickly do slight knockback, and then lunge, which allows you to lunge forward in the water. Next, you go to your voice. You get 2 vocal abilities. Amphibian Hospital, which is where all amphibians in your group gain 10% health recovery, and Venom, Bleed, and Bone Break healing for 1 minute. Stacks up to 5 times. And finally, Awakenings, which is where every Diplocaulus in your group gains 5% defense and stamina recovery for 1 minute. And that's all of the abilities. Let's showcase all the attacks off and see what we're working with. So as for your attacks, they'll be dealing a decent amount of damage to little creatures. Let's start off with the head attacks. You've got your Hatchet Swing first, which does knockback, and, well, it does quite a bit of knockback to our little Deinonychus there. You can just pass it around like a baseball bat. It does also deal a little bit of bleed as well. The next thing you have is your Toxic Bite. Now, this does deal about 12 seconds of toxin to the Deinonychus. And obviously, if I keep doing that, it will eventually stack up, and then it will eventually kill it. So I'm not going to do any more to that. Next is the Headbutt. And this is the standard attack you get with it, of course. A little bit of damage, a little bit of bleed, and that is that. So now the Deinonychus is in the water, we're going to hopefully barrel roll right into it, and there you go. So it doesn't look like it deals a lot of knockback, but that is maybe because I'm using a Deinonychus and not anything else. Poor guy's probably going to die. Let me bring him over to here. There he is. He's safe now. As for the other ones, it's pretty interesting how it goes. I just want to talk about some of these passives, however. Beachcomber improves your land speed, and as you can see, it's already noticeably faster. This thing still does jump, by the way. And we're going to test out those werehops in a moment because it's your normal jump. And then if I just equip werehops, where is it? It should be here. And I make it nighttime. We should have the werehops ability on. And as you can see, it already jumps a lot more in the night time. Now, that obviously increases the jump in stamina cost by 15%, but it's only at night. And then you go to your web feet instead, which increases your sprinting speed in the water, or your movement speed in the water. And because you can equip this with Beachcomber, you can pretty much have them both on at the same time. Now, does Beachcomber negatively affect the land stuff? No, but web feet does increase your swimming speed. Now, this one is reducing the first hit, so let me just pull ahead and get the Deinonychus to bite me. So the first hit should always be less. Let's just really quickly get the bite on. So that's the first bite, and then we'll do the second bite, and it obviously will do a lot more. One thing to notice here, the Deinonychus has been envenomated. This creature does both venom, toxicity, and bleed. Venom by a passive, bleed by its attacks, and toxic by the toxin bite. It's going to be very strong if you're able to stack that with a group. The other thing that will help boost your swimming speed is obviously the paddle tail. So if we start swimming around with it now, it is definitely a lot better. And this is a passive that goes on your tailor slot. So you can either judge to have this, the water swirly attack, which I don't really like, it's very slow and sluggish, or instead having your lunge, which allows you to leap out of the water. There we go. So you can leap like that, and you actually leap quite high with it. Speaking of the attacks, I did forget one thing to showcase damage-wise, and that was the standard tail attack. So let me really quickly show that off to you guys on our Deinonychus right here, and this should be the tail attack's damage if I just line it up right, and boom. Not that much damage for the tail attack, and it has a pretty long cooldown as well. Is that just because of where I am at the moment in the on the land, or is it because I can't do knockback to him? But the attack damage is definitely less on that tail attack. It's maybe not worth it if you want to choose. Maybe for these, you maybe just want to go for the lunge attack, paddle tail, and spin attack, or any of those three. The tail attack, I think, should only be really useful on land. Other than that, however, that's everything to do with the attacks. So let's go ahead and check out the skins. As for the skins, this mod gets a lot, and I think it's probably better to just enter the world and showcase them through the skin select menu, which is here, because you're not obscured by the water. So let's talk about them. The first one is Milk Frog, and this is the default skin. You then get Green Salamander, which is the next one. Fire Belly, which obviously is based off a existing salamander, I believe. Either way, it looks really nice. Then you got the Red Newt, followed by the Leaf Camouflage one, which I really like this one as well. Gold Dragon is next. I like that it's got like a little blood effect coming from its eyes. You got Anomalous, Spotted Salamander, Bearded Storm, Etched, which might be my favorite actually, I'm not gonna lie, it looks really nice. Poison Dart Frog, which is also really nice. I'm not gonna lie, probably my favorite so far has been the Fire Belly one. Then you go to Pink Mystic, and then the final three. You've got Panthera, which to me was already unlocked. Albino, which has some like interesting colorations on pattern 2. It's more like greeny yellow. And then on pattern 1, it's just the normal albino colors. And you got the melanistic as well. And that does have some variation in the colors as well for melanistic too. And as for the skins, that's pretty much everything. So everybody, that was the Great Salamander. It's definitely an interesting one because it's more, compared to the other salamander that we've checked out before, this is definitely more of a semi-aquatic or full aquatic gameplay style than it is a land semi-aquatic in a sense. Because I think the other one was a lot more of a land-based creature compared to this one. And this thing is absolutely adorable when it leaps out of the water. And look at the way its little toes go when I leap out the water as well. It's going to be hard for me to see. Hopefully the replay mode shows it. But you can also kind of get to drift along the water a little bit if you just hold spacebar, and I think that's pretty fun. But this thing is, when you have all the abilities equipped, it's so fast in the water, and on the land it's a lot more sluggish. But I think that's what they're trying to do with this thing, and that's how they're trying to get it to work. But of course, let me know what your thoughts is about this new modded playable. Do you like it? Do you not? Let me know in the comments. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day. Peace.